Welcome to episode 8 of the Sourcing Talent Show. I'm your host, Mark Lundgren. In this week's episode, I'm talking to Evelyn Egan from Dark Matters in Abu Dhabi about how she got into sourcing, how she got to the Middle East to set up a sourcing team, how sourcing in the Middle East is different, and what she will be speaking about at SourceCon in Budapest. I first asked Evelyn how she got into sourcing.
I suppose, pretty much everyone, I fell into recruitment. Back in 2011, I had come back from Australia, did the whole Australia thing, came back and joined a recruitment agency called Hayes, pretty well known. And my main job there was to find candidates. Now, I had never done recruitment. I had never even talked about candidates, knew nothing about them other than being on the other side, being interviewed. So I was like, what the hell? I'm not going to be any good at this at all. So went in, I said, look, I'll give it a go. Went in, and I was basically recruiting multilinguals from all over Europe to come and relocate to a call centre in Cork, in the south of Ireland. So it was a company called Siemens. Everyone knows Siemens. They were acquired by Atos, and they had a multilingual call centre in Cork. And my job was to basically find technical support with German, technical support with Danish, technical support with Italian, every kind of European language that you could possibly think of, and get them to relocate to Cork.
Cool.
So did that away for about 18 months, did it pretty well. Obviously agency, your billing, it's all about the fees at the end of the month. It's about your KPIs and your candidates and everything. And so I kind of done it, and I was like, yeah, this is great. And trying to build up the multilingual desk, but very hard. Ireland is a small place. Cork is even smaller. There's not, there wasn't much multilingual organisations there at the time. So, it was it was quite difficult, but, it was a challenge and I was enjoying it. But opportunity came knocking where Siemens or Atos at the time were looking for an in-house person who knew the market. They actually taken on an RPO called Alexander Mann Solutions, and all that team was based in London, and they needed someone that was on the ground in Cork. So basically I was like, yeah, I'll apply, I'll see how I get on. Lucky enough, got the job, left Hayes, went into Alexander Mann Solutions. I was the only person on site there recruiting for them. As I said, all the team were in London, my manager, my teammates. And that was really, for me, the first true position that I had where I knew what a sourcer was. Before in the agency, you're kind of a researcher or you're like a recruitment consultant and your role isn't really defined. Whereas AMS, they have it down to a T. They know exactly what they're doing in terms of, you're a sourcer and you are a recruiter, or an RS, a resource specialist, and a principal resource specialist as to what they call it. So I came in as a resource specialist, but mainly focused on Cork. Again, same thing, multilingual, but then that kind of got a bit tiring, so I kind of branched into the wider Atos for the UK, finance, IT, MSS, all those different kind of technical roles. And I was working one-on-one with my recruiter. So my recruiter was based in London, I was in Cork, and we just worked, we had all the infrastructure, technology, everything needed to set up to find those positions. So it worked really well, really enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved the company, I loved my client, and so much so that in 2014 I got promoted and they asked me to move to London, which I thought, I'm definitely going to do this. It's a good company, as I said, I love the client, and who doesn't want to live in London for, even if it's just for a year sort of thing. So I was like, pack my bags, over I go, give it a shot, and at this stage now, 2014, I've been with them just coming up on 2 years. Moved to London, spent a year there, and spent a year with them. But at the time, kind of towards the end of the third year, after doing massive internal recruitment. So in terms of the true sourcing, the juicy roles, the real kind of big data architects and the SOC managers, and those were kind of dwindling out a bit. There wasn't much of a need for them anymore because obviously they were filling roles internal. So in terms of an RPO being on site, having a huge team, one sourcer to one recruiter, we were a little bit on the quiet side, and other things happened, and life as life is. So 3 years later with AMS, I ended up going back to Cork, where I originally started, and joined another company called Morgan McKinley. Morgan McKinley are an agency similar to Hayes, but they have an RPO side of the business. So they had been looking for people to join an IoT company called Johnson Controls that had just kind of come to Cork. So I was like, yeah, brilliant. This is exactly what I want. So that position was more of a 360 in terms of we had one sourcer on the team. If we needed help, she would kind of pitch in and stuff. But in terms of the general, volume of positions, I was probably working at about, 20 to 25 roles. And I was kind of doing that myself end to end. So I was back to doing LinkedIn Recruiter, looking at engineers. And this time it wasn't like your finance and your kind of HR roles like I've been used to with Atlas. This was like on-premises engineer, front-end engineer, back-end engineer, R&D engineer. So I'm like, okay, now I need to learn what all of these things are and who these people are. Back onto LinkedIn. And I actually didn't have LinkedIn Recruiter. We had LinkedIn Premium. So that was even harder again because you're spending so much time refining your string. Yeah, it was so time consuming. And you're looking in Ireland and majority of your population is in Dublin. I'm in Cork, the company is in Cork. That was a real interesting few months when I started. I remember when I started my first kind of couple of weeks, I was tasked with finding R&D engineers. Very broad, a huge amount of technologies and everything like that. So I had this spreadsheet and I kept track of every single connection that I made. Because with Premium, you can only send a connection and you can tailor your connection high, blah, blah, blah. I kept track of every single connection I made. And I think in the space of 10 days, I had connected with 195 engineers in Ireland. And so far, I'd had about 3 responses. So I was like, okay, this is not working. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Cork has its tech giants, EMC is there, Amazon, as you said, is there, so it's not like as if we're totally, without anyone, but it's small. Like people move around from company to company, you get to know them, you're working with the last manager that you were working with before. So it was a hard task. And as I said, without the LinkedIn Recruiter where you could really dig into your refined searches or any kind of tools really, I mean, we weren't even able to use the Morgan McKinley actual database because, they had other clients and the fear that we were taking from their clients to our clients and everything. So that was hard. So how I ended up here in Abu Dhabi was I've been with Morgan McKinley a year. I remember it to the day. I had just come back from 2 weeks holidays in Portugal. I was sitting at my desk and I was like, okay, here comes the holiday blues. And I look out the window and it's pouring down rain. This is August. And in comes this email to my LinkedIn. And hi Evelyn, just wondering if you or anyone that you know would be interested in a position in Abu Dhabi. And I looked at the email and I looked out the window and I looked back at the email and I said, you know what? Yes, this is absolutely something that I would be interested in. I was very happy with Morgan McKinney. I was very happy with the job. I thoroughly enjoyed it and everything. But I guess, I was looking for something more without even realizing it. And then when that email came in, I thought, you know what? Yeah. So basically my manager rang me and he goes, cyber security startup. No one's ever heard of us. We just got a website. I want to start a sourcing team. And I was like, oh my God, who are you? Because again, in Ireland, especially, and my own experience of it is really from, Morgan McKinley, like they're truly, what they're trying to do is great. Like they are trying to mirror that model of, your sourcing team and your pipelining team is over here. And then you have your recruiters who are facing to the business, but it was slow. And companies, they're not really catching on to that kind of model. No. They're still very focused. Very early days, you're still, I'll just hire my HR generalist and, they can fill any roles that we have and sure, if we need help, we can go to agency. And I mean, obviously you have the Amazons and you have the EMCs that have larger teams, but it's it's slow. So in terms of business coming in and everything, it was hard. So then when I spoke with Gavin, my now manager, and he was like, this is what I want to do. I want to set up recruiters. I want to set up sourcers. I want you to maybe, start the sourcing team. I don't have any sourcers at the moment. Is that something you can do? I was like, yes, this is absolutely something I can do because that's what I was kind of only edging for with Morgan McKinley is to start that full model. So 3 months later, almost to the day, I landed in Abu Dhabi and started with Dark Matter to develop this sourcing team. No great exciting story really behind it. Just very lucky to have the opportunity to come knock at my door. I remember at the time when, I was talking to some people that I was working with in Morgan McKinley, and they were like, we are trying so hard to get recruiter jobs in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, and like no luck. And then you, who wasn't even looking, I generally was not looking to go there, get this email, and next thing you get offered this job, and off you go. And it's just the way it is, isn't it? Like sometimes when you're not looking for it, it comes right in front of you. So very lucky. Yeah.
So you were AMS, so obviously they have a lot of kind of sourcing training, but like how much kind of training did you do on your own? Who did you learn from?
So basically, so Hayes, when I started with Hayes, they have a brilliant training platform, but they train you for 360 consultant. So that's obviously where you get your basis. In terms of sourcing, it was kind of pretty much like on my own. Now, obviously I had people, that were like, try this, and that kind of started me off, to understand what the hell is Boolean. Obviously I was told what it was. So, I had that basis. And then it was, so that was kind of Hayes, joined AMS then, and then I became more familiar with what sourcing actually is. So I was a sourcer, so my job was to go out and find candidates. That was not like waiting for applications to come through. It was like going on job boards, going on LinkedIn. We did all have LinkedIn recruiter licenses. So it was very much, and at the time LinkedIn didn't have the advanced filtering that they have now. Like you literally had to put in, and it was just, honestly, it was just like, talking to other colleagues because we had other sourcers on the team, but then articles, reading blogs. I got really interested in social talent. I can remember the first time that I saw Johnny Campbell. Well, I've never actually seen him speak, but I heard of Johnny Campbell. He had done a catalyst in London for AMS. And I remember watching his video on YouTube, and I was like, oh my God, this man is like my hero. He is amazing. Like everything that he's saying is making so much sense, and it's exactly what. So then when I saw that, I really started looking into them, and they do so many amazing blogs. And then obviously Source Hub came along, and although they create the string for you, I learned so much from that, because they had a list of so many different ways to call a software engineer, and I was like, oh yes, this is exactly what I needed. Different ways of phrasing this, so kind of looking into that. So really, there was no real training, no like official certificate or anything up until I joined Morgan McKinley, and they bought 15 licenses from Social Talent, and I was one of the 15 that was able to do the black belt. I practically begged them and to let me do it. So, and I did that, and I did it in 12 weeks. Then, so that was my real foundation for training. The technical side of it, in terms of the Boolean, they do a whole, obviously, session and mission on that. Then I was asked to give out the training to the wider Morgan McKinley within Cork and the other part of Ireland. So obviously, once you do that, other people come and say, oh, have you tried this and have you tried that? And I'm like, yeah, so it's kind of networking and stuff, as you know about different ways of doing it. But really, to be honest, the social talent is pretty much the only kind of training, official training that I've done. The rest is go and look it up yourself, look into it, whether it's in your own time or during work time. I genuinely have an interest in it, and there's so many since I started, even definitely since you started, like the new technologies that are there now.
Every week there's something new.
There's something new coming out, and you're like, oh God, how do I keep up with all of them? And that's been a struggle, because I go to something like SourceCon, or I, look at a blog on social talent, and every week I come back with something new, and I want to try them all. And you're like, okay, Evelyn, calm down. You have a full-time job. You're managing a team of 4 people, and you want to try all of these technologies, and you want to be good. Like, you just can't do it. So it's about kind of picking your favorites, or not even your favorites, but ones that make the most sense at that time.
Ones that have the best return on investment, and the ones that work most of the time.
That work most of the time. Otherwise, your whole days will be just spent trialing and demoing these new technologies, and you probably wanting to try them all, or buy them all. So that's kind of been it really, and just keeping myself up to date on what's going on. But as you said, there's something new coming out every day. It's kind of getting harder and harder to stay on top of it all.
So tell me about your team. Like you started, and it was just you for sourcing. How did you kick the whole thing off?
So I started, and basically there was one girl on the team, and they called her a researcher. She was from China, and so I sat with her first, and I was like, tell me what you do, and she goes, I just go into LinkedIn Recruiter, I put in the search, and I pull up a list of profiles, and I pass it over to the recruiter. I was like, oh dear God, okay, no, we're not utilizing you enough. Like, no, we do not need somebody just doing that. We need to develop you into being able to qualify these candidates and at least get them to hiring manager review, that then you can pass them over. So I've been, and I'll say this time and time again, I'm in a very, very lucky situation in that my manager, Gavin, knows that he wants a sourcing model. So anything that I kind of put forward to him, he supported 100%. So I said, this is how I see the sourcing working, and I mapped out the whole process. So once I'd done that and the recruiters were on board, we had maybe about 3 full-time recruiters, and then myself and the one sourcer when I started. So I said, okay, if you truly want this to work, we need to hire more people. So within the first 3 months, I hired a guy from France. He was with Computer Futures on the cybersecurity desk. Then I hired a guy from IBM in South Africa within a month later, actually. So within the first kind of 3 to 4 months, we hired 2 people. Now, that guy from IBM actually originally started as a recruiter. So we split the team, like I was saying, recruiters face off the business, the sourcers focus on the candidate. So that was fine. Then we hired a guy from the UK, and he worked remotely. And he was mainly going to focus on pen testers. Now, if you worked in the Middle East, you'll know that there's a huge amount of red tape, politics are there, there's so many restrictions. Environment, culture is so different. And then putting someone that's working remote into that with a 4-hour time difference, in theory, it sounded great, and it worked well for a couple of months, but then in the end, it just didn't work. Maybe if we were a more mature company, maybe if we were like an Amazon or a Microsoft or something, and we had better infrastructure and we weren't so restricted, yes, it absolutely could work. But at the time, it just wasn't. So that ended, and we replaced him with a Filipino girl who had never done IT recruitment, but was like, she's just phenomenal on the phone. Like, her pre-screens are absolutely fantastic. And I've just extended an offer to a 4th guy who has done IT recruitment for Etihad for the past 4.5 years. Yeah. So my train of kind of thinking was, okay, the sourcers need to understand the positions. The recruiters need to understand the business. So when I was hiring the people, my criteria was they have to come from either IT recruitment or cybersecurity recruitment. I can't take someone who's worked 5 years on accountancy and finance desk and put them in and ask them to search for SOC tier 1. I can't ask them to, they're not going to understand what it is. And look, maybe, people do pick up things, people learn and everything. I'm not saying that they don't, but at the same time, because we were growing so rapid, like we're doing, 400 hires a year, for a team that's the size of about 8, I needed someone that was able to come in and be like, yeah, I know the difference between a front-end engineer and a back-end engineer. Yeah. So that's why all of my team so far have been from that IT. The person that we hired for a recruiter in IBM, turned out his strength is candidates. He does amazing screening calls. He loves finding candidates. He was wasted on the recruitment team. He wasn't enjoying it. He wasn't facing off the business. All the noise, the politics. We're like, you know what? I have an opening on my team. Why don't you just come over and see it go? And he's absolutely smashing it. He's putting in amazing candidates. He's really enjoying it. And that's what you want. You want people to match with their passions. If your passion isn't people and candidates and finding candidates, then you're not going to make a good sourcer. And remember one of the first meetings that I had with Gavin, I was like, this is brilliant. I'm no longer restricted by country. I can look anywhere in the world. Like, obviously, there's a couple of exceptions, but like anywhere in the world, it's amazing. He's like, yeah, go for your life. Like, here's your LinkedIn recruiter license. Here's whatever else you need, your ATS, off you go. So I started, and I was like, okay, where do I start? What country do I start with? What state do I start with? What city do I start with? Where the hell do I start? So in one sense, it's like every recruiter's dream or every sourcer's dream to be able to recruit globally. But then at the same time, you're like, oh dear God, like where, how, where, you know, so that took a little bit of adjusting to kind of go, okay, maybe I should start actually, before I go looking for this person, maybe do a bit of market mapping, see what LinkedIn says, where's the top, or where's the most engineers, where's the most stock people, you know, and kind of narrow it down that way. But yeah, like I would say 92% of our employees relocated. You have obviously, you know, the couple of percentage where they're already here. They've been here like for the last 10, 15 years sort of thing. But they're the exception. They're not the norm.
What does your tech stack look like now then? You have LinkedIn Recruiter. What kind of other tools are you and your team working with?
We basically started with JobBite, if you've ever used JobBite.
I have.
It's all right. Like, I mean, it's better than nothing. Mm-hmm. I don't mean this to be harsh to JobBite. We met them, they came over and everything. They do things, the things that they do very, very well. And then the things where they just go 80% of the way and you're like, oh, if you just went that extra 20%, it would be amazing, you know, that kind of way. So anyway, Gavin sent me off to SourceCon last March. Well, I actually begged him to go and he got approval for me, thankfully. The last day I met Hiring Solved, I met Clinch, and I'd had a demo of Greenhouse. Okay. And I came back and I said, okay, you have to. I fell in love with Hiring Solved. I was like, I cannot believe that this technology exists and we're not using it. So we did the demos of Hiring Solved, Jim O'Dwyer, Jeremy, met the whole team, and we also did a demo then with Shane from Clinch. And we invested in both. We're very, very lucky, and I say this lightly in that the company that I'm with are so eager to invest in recruitment. You know, obviously we're in the UAE, everyone knows companies, and we're locally owned. Our CEO is an Emirati. You know, so it's no great secret that, you know, we do have certain budgets for certain things, and it just
but also that you're not going to have the technology locally, so you know you're going to have to invest in it.
So we have to. We've no other choice but to kind of, you know, invest in. And I was lucky enough to be able to get a license for all of the sourcing teams for Hiring Solved. We implemented Clinch, and we did an implementation of Greenhouse. We got rid of JobBite and we implemented Greenhouse. The whole recruitment team have LinkedIn Recruiter. And we're actually in the process of building or rebuilding our careers website with Clinch. So it's all going to feed in. And our biggest, I suppose, challenge, Mark, is that we get inundated with applications. We probably get the bones of about 4,000 to 5,000 applications a month.
But does this go to your team?
All feeds into our Greenhouse, yes. And, you know, not to be harsh or anything, but probably 3,500 of those applications we're not interested in. What we loved about Clinch was, and we don't have it fully up and running set up because it really does depend on the careers website, and we want to get the careers website right first before we truly utilize the full ability of Clinch. But what that does is it'll allow us to kind of stop the applications. So, you know, our whole aim is you'll do kind of a cultural assessment first, a values assessment. If you score a certain level, then you'll get a message saying, look, you're not exactly the right match. Maybe, you know, read this before you go and actually apply. So Clinch is helping us with all of that. Yeah, so we're really hoping that that's going to reduce the number and make it more quality. I mean, that's what everyone wants, is the quality. And the way that I have the team kind of set up now is we have it by skill set. So we're not big enough to be able to do sourcer with recruiter to business area. No. So, for example, there's 3 recruiters and there's now 4 sourcers, 5 including myself, and it's to skill set. So my guy that does the pen testers, you know, he's got it. Like he knows what he's doing. I don't even know what he's doing, but he's finding the people because he's in touch with the community. You know, and then I will say, and there's no shame in saying this whatsoever, but like our biggest source of hire is referrals, and our second then would be source. I don't think we're any different to any other organisation. Exactly, and you know, there's nothing wrong with that by any means. But in terms of getting that first person in order to give you the referral, the stuff that he does, I'm like, okay, yes. But like when they all joined, I put them all through the social talent training as well, and like that's only getting more better. Like from the missions that I did back in 2015 or 16 to now, I mean, it's probably brand new material because you've got this whole sources who code, like with Susanna Conway, you've got Python, and wasn't there like one of the tracks in SourceCon about Python coding? I mean, and I'll put my hands up, I am not a technical person. That is 100% above where I would love to be, but like I'm absolutely not. But it's crazy. Like when I started out, it was just and or brackets, inverted commas. Now it's like a whole other level. So he's really, like, as I said, he'll go down to the pen testing team and he'll sit with them and he'll be like, okay, tell me a little bit about this or tell me a little bit about that. And same now with our security researchers, you know, he's interested. That's what I go back to saying, is that you find the person that's passionate and interested in what it is that they're going to be doing. That's when you'll get the candidates. Like that's when you'll find because they won't give up. He genuinely wants to find pen testers. It's not because it's the next thing on his list or the next thing on his spreadsheet. It's because he's super interested and the work is super interesting. So yeah, it's scary what comes out of it.
But recruiting in the Middle East, like what's been the kind of biggest challenge?
Relocating. And the skill sets. Our company is so and I mean, I'm sure every company says this, but for me, like the roles are so technical. Like there's positions I've never even heard of. Like, you know, there's stuff where it's like, who the hell even thought up of this, and where the hell are we going to even find this person? And then when we do find them, how are we going to get them to relocate to an unknown company in Abu Dhabi in the desert? You know, so I would say definitely relocating is number one challenge, and then number two is the skill set. So finding that skill, especially, and we obviously recruit a lot from the US. I mean, it's no secret that the majority of kind of the skill sets that we look for, the population are in the US, and in particular in Palo Alto. One thing that we actually did last year to kind of try and I suppose make this better was we as Jack Matter, we go to pretty much every conference that's out there in the whole entire world. And they're fantastic at it. We do amazing stands. Like the marketing team are truly amazing at what they do, and we as a recruitment team tend to go along. But the big ones, like we're going to RSA now in April in San Fran. But last year, myself and Gavin went to Black Hat, 40 odd people from the business, and then myself and Gavin went along. And what we did was we actually engaged with a company called 33. And they're like this kind of, media marketing company. And we targeted, about 4 weeks before the conference, we targeted a certain pool of candidates. All from pretty much all working in either Palo Alto or the surrounding Bay Area. Had either been born in kind of the Middle East, India, relocated to the US, and have been educated and is working in the US. So we got we held a cyber symposium in the Four Seasons in Vegas. We live streamed it up to Palo Alto. So we just got like Palo Alto is cool, all these cool meetup places and stuff. So Gavin went up to Palo Alto, I stayed in Vegas, and we had 20 people show up to each location. It was just like networking, a panel, like some presentations from our EVPs and our SVPs, and then a panel of like relocating back to your region, what it is that we're doing, the skill sets that we look for and everything. And out of that, I think we've hired so far like 3 to 4 people, one of whom is our chief scientist who was a HP fellow, which is pretty impressive. Like that, originally born in India, but like moved to the US very, very young. So lived his whole life, worked his whole life in the US, but still has family back in India, wants to, you know, move to and try something new. Some people are just like, you know what, I'm sick of the Valley, I'm sick of Palo Alto, I'm sick of the, you know, because it's so, I mean, I've not experienced it myself, but the work, it can be really like cutthroat. It's like,
it's expensive as well.
And the next thing, it's expensive, you know, so they're like, you know what, let's give it a go. Pretty much most of our SVPs that we have are relocated from the US, one from Australia. And the other side, you know what, we spoke to back in the day when we were starting this, it was obviously the CEO that was doing the interviews.
Yeah.
And his vision, he was like, yeah, like this is exactly what I want. Like the vision that you hear from the CEO, you're instantly bought in. And that is one thing that we find is once we get the candidate on the phone, they get over the fact that we're in Abu Dhabi, safe, nice country. Okay, yes, it's the desert, but like it's very modern, it's very Western.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't pay tax, so you know. And once you kind of get them on the phone and the hiring manager goes into that technical detail about the job, they're sold. My famous story that I tell, and I tell this every single time somebody said, because you know you have people that are like, oh, my kids are in school, and how can I take them out of school, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, one of our SVPs, he relocated 6 of his 9 children from Utah in the US. If he can do it, you can relocate your 2 kids that are like 4 and 5. So a block. And look, obviously uprooting your family, your kids, taking them out of school, their friends. It's not for everyone. It's not. And then, you know what I say? Look, thank you very much, but this probably just isn't going to work out. And we go our separate ways. And that'll be the person though that you probably get a referral from. We have 680 odd employees and 62 nationalities. On my talent acquisition team alone, there is something like 6 different nationalities, and there's 9 of us. So like, there's huge diversity. Like it's insane, and every single nationality has a different way of working. So that was even today, and I'm here now nearly a year and a half. I have got, oh God, if this was Ireland or the UK, this would not be happening. Or if this was Ireland or the UK, this is the way we'd be doing it. You know, that I mean, I think you do that no matter what country you go.
Oh, you always have that, yeah.
When I lived in Australia, I said the same thing. When I lived in London, I was like, geez, that's not how we do it back in Cork anyway. You know, so it doesn't really matter, but it's just because there's so many different nationalities and you're working with so many of them all at the same time, it can be quite overwhelming, especially at the beginning. But then, you know, you just learn, you figure it out, you're like, okay, this is the way that this person likes to work, this is the way that that person kind of works, and you just get on with it. We're all there to do the same job, or we're all there to do a job, so we just get on with it.
So you're speaking in SourceCon Budapest as well. What's your topic going to be about, and what can people look forward to there?
So what I thought I would do it on is kind of like what my experience has been in kind of taking this journey of developing a sourcing team in the Middle East, in what the difference is between sourcing here in Abu Dhabi to what it was like sourcing back in London, and the kind of different ways, the different challenges. Obviously I'll talk about technologies, but I think the main kind of thing would be around the engagement. I find here that we do a lot more personalized emails and personalized engagement than what I would have done, you know, back in Ireland and the UK. Again, you know, chances are when I was in Ireland and the UK, people knew who the companies were, people knew who Atos were, people know who Johnson Controls are. You know, the brand is already out there. Whereas here, like, you know, we're an unknown company, but yet we're hiring people. We're trying to take people out of Google in Palo Alto and convince them to come over here. So all kind of about that, how we do that kind of engagement. But also, you know, as I said to you, like how I ended up hiring the team, the technologies, pretty much just a round robin of what it's been like for the last year and a half here in the Middle East. And I hope people will take something from it. I hope they'll.
If people want to keep in touch with you, like where can they best find you?
So I'm very active on Twitter. I make sure that I'm on Twitter daily. My LinkedIn, I have my work email address on my LinkedIn. I think my phone number is on LinkedIn. You can literally contact me through any avenue. I'm a wide open book. There's nothing hidden. So anywhere, LinkedIn, Twitter, they're probably the 2 top ones. And then, as I said, my work email is on my LinkedIn account, and my work phone number is on it as well.
Perfect.
I don't think anyone would be interested in calling me in Abu Dhabi, to be honest. But, you know, there's other ways around it. Don't WhatsApp me or WhatsApp video, because we can't get WhatsApp video. So, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of restraints. Yeah.
Restraints, yeah. But that's, as you said, it is what it is. So, that's the best way to stay in touch.
Well, I'm looking forward to meeting you in Budapest.
Me too.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much, Mark. It was lovely chatting to you. And talk to you soon.
You too. Talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for watching. If you want to be one of the first ones to know about new episodes, make sure you subscribe to this channel.